in overtime, and Syracuse the one before that. So I'm sure we're going to have a really great college lacrosse game here tonight at Sholkoff Field.
The few members on both teams that were still here for both of those games remember that 16-15 win for the Big Red at the JMA Wireless Dome, and immediately a face-off violation against Mason Kohn will give the Big Red the first possession here.
And this is an important storyline for us, is this face-off game. Syracuse, a very strong face-off team, and Cornell has been hovering just below 50% on the year. So good for Cornell to get that first opening.
Again, as Tom mentioned, this is the battle also to watch at the face-off bat. Cornell, without Jack Cascadden, hasn't had the best of runs at face-offs at times. Mason Kohn has really revitalized this Syracuse face-off unit. Jack Follows was on the wings there, the close defense, but couldn't quite pick up the ground ball. And here is Jake Stevens coming the other way.
One of the things you'll see from both of these offenses.
And now the Cornell defense is definitely a little bit less powerful than in previous years, especially with Gavin Adler at times, as this is a face-off violation against Psyllos. So a face-off violation on each end. Quickly, that can add up for both teams. Cornell's returning from injury back in 2022 and continues just to settle in and absolutely destroy opposing defenses as a big face-off win goes the way of the Big Red.
Danny Bacafola with the ground ball there for Cornell. We'll expect him to see a little bit more.
Face-off opportunity coming up for Syracuse and for Mason Kohn. The key, crucial face-off early on in this game, and a free Jake Stevens on the wing with no Cornell player on the opposite end to challenge him will secure this face-off and give Syracuse at least another 30 or so seconds on 6-on-5 offense. And he's got 26 goals on the year. One more face-up with man up, and it gives a free opportunity here for Sam English. Taken to the ground, though, but picked up by Billy Dwan. And so Syracuse, once again, this has been such a key factor in terms of not having players available. No Michael Bosley, no Brian Lutzi, no Chris Davis. As a second face-off violation of the quarter will go against Syracuse. This one against John Mullen. Marc Psyllos will stay on the field. Thought about going to cage, slipped on the slick turf that's still kind of slick because of the rain. A long possession
to that today. Syracuse has just been, has Cornell all on their heels right now. And I think if you're the Big Red, this is just like everybody, let's just take a deep breath. Let's get the next goal and realize that we're not going to score a 28. There's no such thing as a 28, a 7-point goal. Well, but the advantage here, a face-off violation, third of the half on Syracuse. So Cornell will have an extra man opportunity. So hopefully.
Again, Syracuse, 3 face-off violations in this quarter alone.
That is one way you can neutralize the face-off game.
But Angelo Petrakis can't quite get the face-off win. It's Jake Stevens who does so for the Orange. And he'll settle things down as
man down.
Again, this is unreleasable, so it seems interesting.
Yeah, they're pulling him off right now. The guy came out because of being unreleasable.
Mason Cohn's all by himself to take this face-off. He might not have a more important face-off this entire year. He's got to win this cleanly to himself. And this is going the other way after an off-ball hold. Mason Kohn gets this face-off win, and now this is going to be a huge ride coming up for Cornell to try and battle back. It will eventually get to be on 6-on-5, which means the ball's got to be doubled.
Yep.
Cuse man-down unit defense out on the field as well. There's no Riley Figueres. There's no Billy Dwan. There's no Caden Cole.
And
a violation.
Petrakis jumped.
And again, this is where those faceoffs become so important for Syracuse. This time it's John Mullen winning the faceoff. Remember, he only has 1 wing help on these faceoffs for the next at least 40 seconds if it continues. And once again, Syracuse, at least if they could hold on to the ball here, should be able to kill off the rest of this man-down penalty.
Looks like we're starting to get some rain.
The rain is indeed starting to fall. Owen Hiltz is backtracking, getting chased by Matt Dooley.
say, oh, well, now that we're past that, man down, now we're just going to get back to the way we were playing before.
3 points now for Joey Spallina, 2 goals and an assist for number 22. And on the first full strength faceoff in quite some time, it's Mason Kohn who comes up victorious, but can't quite get the pass cleanly to Sam Alexo. Alexo being hounded by Petrakis, gets absolutely crushed by Singer, and this will be a man-up opportunity coming for Syracuse, but it won't come because it's Mason Kohn on the face-off once again. That is 6 goals for Mason Kohn, who absolutely gets the orange bench fired up.
And that's one you don't want to give up. You don't ever want to give up a goal to a face-off guy. Cornell with the good ride. I thought that was a legal hit by Singer, but there was a flag down, and here it is. The face-off guy steps in, and he's able to convert that. Kohn, he takes advantage of it. He's had to work by himself, and there he did a good job getting the ball out.
And of course, the thing with Mason Kohn is he's not just a face-off guy. He had to play a lot of midfield at Tufts, the previous school he was at before transferring to Syracuse. And one of those big finds in the transfer portal for Gary Gate in the past offseason.
Number of transfers here for Syracuse playing big roles, especially in the specialty positions. So we're still going to have the officials are talking to confirm what we have as the call here. We expect it's an illegal body check.
And Jason Singer is staying in the penalty box, so it looks like what we'll either get is either a 3-on-2 faceoff or a immediate just faceoff win for Syracuse. So you see there on the left side of your screen, that was the check by Singer that drew the flag and the eventual goal. I
have to say, I'm all for player safety here. It's really important, but one of the comments in the lacrosse world right now is that oftentimes big hits that are pretty clean are getting called as illegal body checks. To me, his arms were down. He hit him straight from the front. The ball was still in the area. I think that's a tough call. To me, that's a lacrosse play. If you look at this again, right? He comes through, right? Arms are down low. It's the shoulder. It didn't come head to head. He didn't lower the head. To me, that looks like a good hit. And this is not, you see it sort of happening here and there. And they're calling it an unreleasable penalty as well.
The call is going to be unnecessary roughness against Jason Singer, number 43. And that should give the ball just straight over to Syracuse, most likely.
No, we'll have
his cage. But boy, have there been momentum swings in this game.
Yeah, both goalies only have 4. Each goalie has 4 saves in this game. And a face-off win for Psyllos here.
Working up against John Mullen. Psyllos tried to find Michael Long, but couldn't quite do so. Off the top of Long's stick, and this is going the other way.
That's one Long wants back. He
already for Owen Hiltz.
And that's again, you stop Cornell from getting momentum. You think Cornell gets a goal, and then they win a face-off, and then Syracuse able to come down and get possession.
And a huge ground ball pickup there from Michael Long. Flags want to be flown, and yeah, here comes a flag as Michael Long will draw the penalty, and we'll go on 6-on-5 once again. And a little bit too late from Brendan Staub after the initial slide onto Jake Stevens. And a great assist there for Jake Stevens, who's got 2 assists on the game. Trying to make it 3 as Marc Psyllos tries to get it past Mullen, and tries to get it past Kohn. And a violation will give it to Cornell.
What do we got here? Cornell goal.
So it goes back to a 5-goal advantage for Syracuse.
Nikolic really come on in the last 4 or 5 games for Cornell.
He started this year on the 3rd midfield line, but due to injuries and other factors, has made his way onto the 2nd midfield line and has really taken that opportunity in stride. Jake Stevens wants a one-man goal all by himself. He'll back things off. Wick stick skills in front of goal in order to score goals like that.
And a nice job by Spallina of being patient behind the goal. He got to a place he wanted, and he came right back.
And John Mullen picks off the face-off win. That's the thing with Syracuse this year. I mean, Syracuse has had face-off problems in the past, and now they not only have 1, but 2 very, very capable face-off guys who you can rely on more than 50% of time.
Put a run together against Syracuse with the number of face-off violations has to be careful.
Yeah, remember, Syracuse, any more face-off violations in this half will result in man-up opportunities. But nifty behind-the-back pass from Hiltz, but that one was stuffed at the doorstep by Tully. Boy, this Syracuse team is so creative offensively.
Well, that's always been the trademark. Probably going all the way back to when Gary Gate was on the field.
All the way over to Wertheim to try and cover him. And the faceoffs continue to be so important for both teams. Psyllos back there out against Kohn, and again, Kohn wins it cleanly. And now, the Orange looking to move fast. They do, as Sam English will make it a 14-8 game. And again, Sam English loves scoring against Cornell.
Boy, we don't get much chance to breathe in here, and just a really nice face-off win there by Kohn, and he gets it out of his stick really quickly. English going right onto the offensive end of the field and just puts the bouncer past Tully. Just seems like Cornell gets a couple steps going in the right direction, and then Syracuse ready to answer, not letting Cornell put too long of a run together.
And a flag is going to fly. This probably is going to go against Psyllos for some sort of violation. And Cornell now has to go on man down. That's a hold getting called against Psyllos. That's going to be a 30-second technical. Take a look at it again here. Yeah, kind of just shoved Mullen to the ground.
Syracuse 2 for 3 with the extra man here. Yeah, certainly plenty of offense here. The poor goalies. I mean,
this is what we expected, right? Offense on offense on offense. And another crucial face-off coming. Ball still up for grabs, and it looks like Samalexo might be the first one to it. And he is indeed trying to ward off Psyllos. And eventually gets the ball over to Riley Figueres with under a minute to go here in the second quarter. And Syracuse looking to move quickly, but the pass was a little bit too far for Stevens. And now Cornell will try her own risky pass, and it somehow finds C.J. Kirst. Now Cornell looking to move a transition. Michael Long will pass it off. Here is Spencer Wertheim.
And I tell you, you may not have been able to hear it, but I thought that C.J. Kirst was going to get killed. That type of a buddy pass. And then watch this. I mean, Kirst just looks like he's going to get lit up. He's able to make the catch. He finds Michael Long, who just takes time, makes the defender have to make a decision to stop him with the ball, finds Wertheim, who puts it into the goal, gets Cornell 2 in a row here, gets this down to a 4-goal Syracuse lead.
And that's the advantage of having a healthy Michael Long. The lacrosse IQ is so off the charts. Only played in 7 games last year due to injury. He now has 6 points, 3 goals, and 3 assists. However, John Mullen wins this faceoff, under 30 left to go, and Coach Gary Gates going to call a timeout and use one of his 2 remaining timeouts of the half.
Syracuse has called the timeout.
They used the one. No, that's their last one. I believe they used the
19 in goal to start off for Cornell here in the second half. The last time these 2 teams played, it was also Nuss came in relief, or at least in the second quarter of the game. The last time these 2 teams played, he came in for Chase Erland. It only allowed 8 goals, made 8 saves in that 16-15 overtime win over Syracuse in the JMA Wireless Dome 2 years ago.
Boy, that was close. C.J. Kirst jumped up to try it.
What happens when Joey Spalita gets even a millimeter of space? His face-off going away of Mason Kohn. As Mason Kohn continues to have an excellent day on the face-offs, but his pass over the head of Will Mark, that's going out of bounds, and a possession going away of Syracuse. An uncharacteristic turnover there for Mason Kohn.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean,
Syracuse, whether it's playing faster or playing a bit slower, the offense really just hasn't missed a beat at all.
no, I mean they've converted throughout this contest, and Cornell not winning as many faceoffs as they need to win.
Maybe an opportunity to win one without Mason Kohn on the field, and a violation will bring this over to Cornell's side.
If they're able, again, but it's going to come back to, can they win this faceoff? And Syracuse in these situations in this game has done a good job of neutralizing Cornell.
Mason Kohn has only lost 3 faceoffs the entire game. That will continue here as he wins his 15th faceoff in 18 tries for Syracuse. And now an opportunity for Syracuse to try and kill off the penalty, but Tommy Drago loses the ball on the check and the ride from Cornell. That's the Cornell ride you expect to see. And here comes Cornell on the man up.
And we mentioned it, right? It's this idea of, it's one thing to win a face-off statistically. It's
for Cornell, and just kind of the season of Cornell. It's all about trying to go on long runs and stopping long runs. That's been Cornell's entire season.
Yeah, I mean, we're back to a 4-goal game again.
And it starts to feel suddenly a bit more manageable for Cornell, but Mason Kohn wins yet another faceoff. 16 of 19 from the faceoff dot is Mason Kohn. Boy, how have Syracuse needed a faceoff guy as dominant as Kohn for such a long, long time. And Mason Kohn is giving them that deuce. They do battle once again here in Central New York. Syracuse leading 16-12 after an explosive first half, which saw a combined 24 goals scored between the two teams. Now at 28 goals after only 2 goals were scored. Somehow, bizarrely, only 2 goals were scored apiece for each team in the third quarter.
Again, I think that's the pace that Cornell would like, and here's a face-off violation.
Called against John Mullen.
So Cornell have an opportunity. They go quickly.
Marc Psyllos decided to go quickly, is staying on the field. Here's Michael Long. 4 goals for Michael Long, 4 goals for C.J. Kirst. One of the other big differences, the scoring has been so we seem to be. Taking out Caden Cole and bringing in Nick Kakemo. That was Kakemo on Goldstein. And couldn't quite keep up with the talented freshman. Yet another big face-off. Kohn and Psyllos lock sticks. This ball really up for grabs, and it's Charlie Box who picks it up. And Box will find Psyllos. Both logos keeping each other on the field for a long time in this game. Kelleher picks himself up, goal number 13 on the year. And yet another huge face-off coming. Kohn and Psyllos. Lock horns once again. And this time it's Kohn once again. That's 17 of 21. Face-off wins for Kohn. Psyllos causes a turnover, and here's Long.
So now you're at a place, if you're Cornell, again, this tempo has been much more to their liking. No rush here.
Who's in a return to this great rivalry between two of the best teams historically in Central New York and in lacrosse. This face-off win big, and it's going to go to Aiden Blake. Working up against John Mullen and Marc Psyllos. It's Aiden Blake on the wing who picks it up. And now Cornell goes on to clear. And eventually it's Blake who picks it back up and gets it over to Staub on the transition.
Both teams have a timeout.
That's the big thing. Both teams have a timeout. This face-off massive. Mason Kohn is 17 of 21 at the face-off X. Can't make it 18. Marc Psyllos picks it up. Will Coach Busek call time? Psyllos takes it. Marc Psyllos scores! Cornell has taken its first lead of the game with 10 seconds left.
And you could see Connor Busek on the sideline was waiting to call a timeout, and he said, we got a chance to go to goal. And Marc Psyllos coming up with a big play. He gets his own ground ball, and he just comes right down the side here, and keeps going. And no defender came to him, puts it up high, and now we're going to have a timeout here just to, if you're Cornell, to make sure you got everything all set up with your first lead of the game at 17-16.
Syracuse started this game on a 7-0 run. It is currently a 7-0 Cornell run to make it a 17-16 lead for Cornell. And once again, has Cornell stolen another game against Syracuse right at the death?
Well, 10 seconds is, as I said, right? Cornell, that face-off happened with 19, I think it was 19.3 on the clock. It took 9 seconds for Psyllos to win the draw and come down. So if you're Cornell, when you set up here, you're probably going to make sure you've got your 2 wing guys down deep to try and prevent the break. If you're Psyllos, you see if you can just get a quick tie-up.
What a huge face-off win for Marc Psyllos.
Just straight down Broadway.
11th face-off win for Psyllos in 28 attempts. He might not have a bigger one in his career.
Well, he needs to get this to get the tie up here and just prevent an opportunity, because this has been the type of a game where it wouldn't surprise me that Syracuse could come down and score very quickly.
That's what you have with Mason Kohn. He has done that. He has a goal already in this game, 6 goals this season for Syracuse. Can Psyllos tie this up long enough? Ball squirts pass. Picks up to Stevens. 5 seconds. English running. English got past the defender, and he got it under. Quietness! We're all tied up at 17. Back at 1.1 second, we're most likely headed to overtime here in Ithaca.
It was
What a game!
a clean, quick face-off win out to the wing. Stevens finds his former Princeton teammate, English, and just Aiden Blake just didn't get the hit on him when he came out to try and stop him.
Sam English, when he last played Cornell back in 2022, had 5 goals. He now has 3 goals here tonight, and we're all tied back up at 17. One last whistle to conclude things. Tom, we are headed to overtime in Ithaca.
And as I said, I thought 10 seconds was enough time, right? I said that
It
right
was.
before that face-off, and it was just barely. This has been just a game of momentum changes throughout. Just a great college lacrosse game.
You thought that we were done. We thought you had a wild game the last time. Here we go.
All right. So
Transfers. Teaming up to haunt Cornell once again. Here we go.
all right. So
Once again, Cornell finds itself in overtime for its second straight game. This series game back in overtime for a second straight year. It was Hugh Kelleher 2 years ago in the JMA Wireless Dome, the hero for Cornell at that day.
obviously a big face-off here to see who'll get the first chance.
A tie-up between Kohn and Psyllos, and it's knocked down and picked up by Jake Stevens. Will Coach Gate need to use a timeout?
I'd play it out.
Only 3 goals for Syracuse in the second half. How much of that is because they do not?
Second half since he came in and really sort of stabilized the Cornell defense. And now where we thought we were maybe done with face-offs, we're back to another big face-off. Syracuse has had the advantage throughout this game. They've won 22 of 35 so far in the contest, and none bigger than this one.
And Mason Kohn has won 19 of 25 at the dot. They'll take on Marc Psyllos, 12 of 31.
But again, we've talked about it. It's not only winning the face-off, but it's actually getting the offensive possession. So even if you're able to win the face-off, you still got to sort of get away from the scrum and the battle for the ground ball.
Staub and Stevens on the near side wings. The far side wings are Alexo and I think Aiden Blake. This ball squirts out. Stevens looking to try and get there first, and he will.
Again, both teams have a timeout again now that we're in this second overtime period. So Syracuse will have the first chance here.
And they'll bring out the second midfield line.